Good afternoon. This video testimony is for Mr. Hewitt and those individuals at Powerstroke Specialty, powerstrokehelp.com. I know what you're thinking. Wait a minute, this isn't a Powerstroke. And you're right. This is in fact a 2005 GMC Sierra 2500 HD with the LLY code Duramax diesel engine. I've owned this truck since it was brand new. I took it off the lot at Aurora GMC in Fairbanks, Alaska when I was on active duty back in 2005. I've owned it since it was new. I am intimately familiar with it. I've done all the work and service on this truck for the most part, except for a few warranty related issues. Specifically, it's on its second set of injectors. I must have had a Monday morning or Friday afternoon set of injectors that they replaced in warranty way back at 25,000 miles, and it's been relatively trouble-free since then. You know, with some minor stuff. I mean, I've done the stuff that every Duramax owner in this year should do. You know, replace that intake elbow into the turbo because the stock piece is ridiculous. It's very restrictive. It's a major source of high EGTs. It creates a low pressure area in front of the turbo. I got the EGR cooler blocked off. You know, hey, it's my truck, I'm going to do what I want. But the stuff's still there. You know, if I had to get inspected, or if I lived in a state where I had to get inspected, unlikely, or I sold it to somebody, again, unlikely, the equipment's still there. You know, so it's not technically in violation. But the main thing, and then I rerouted the PCV, which takes crankcase vapors and dumps it into the intake stream to get burned. I mean, it sucks that oily air through the intake system, through the intercooler, and when it mixes with the hot exhaust gas in the EGR system, it just forms this black, carbony, thick, sticky sludge, which plugs the EGR valve, plugs up the cooler, and that garbage gets sucked down into your engine. It can, if chunks of it go down in there, it can bend valves. It's just an absolute nightmare. So I wanted to forego that because when that happens, Murphy's Law says it will always happen once the thing's out of warranty. So I just, you know, shut it off, you know, but the system's still there. I've stumbled across Mr. Hewitt's website here, helping a friend of mine repair his truck back in 2000 and, let me think here, probably about 2009-ish, right around there with his Master Mechanic series. I mean, we spent some time figuring out how to do an EGR cooler removal without taking the engine out or lifting the cab, and believe me, that was an exercise in and of itself. Some choice words were said on that night. A lot of beer was drank. It was a good time. A lot of people don't realize, and I got it, my hat's off to you, because the information that Mr. Hewitt puts there on YouTube is the result of a lifetime of dedication to one product, the Powerstroke diesel. Love it or hate it, this man is the subject matter expert, and I know there's a fine line between appreciation and ass kissing, so I'll just stop there. However, he puts it out there for the world to view for free, and he's got people from Canada to California and everywhere in between bringing their diesels to him because he is the subject matter expert. Now, I used to own a 2008 F350 crew cab. Again, when I was on active duty in Alaska, I had a Moose with it. I mean, and if those of you guys who've ever hit a deer, you know how much damage a deer does to your truck? I mean, unless you strike a friggin' Clydesdale out in the country or a cow, words cannot describe the amount of damage hitting an animal of that size at 60 miles an hour will do to a truck. I mean, I was fine. I was wearing a seatbelt. I walked away from it, but it absolutely annihilated that truck. And then when the insurance claim was settled, I had some cash burning a hole in my pocket. I did the money thing. I bought this truck, and I've been happy with it. And the only reason why I bought it is because I was, you know, friends of mine who had Powerstroke diesels were going through the head gasket issues, the injector issues, the FICM issues that the Powerstrokes had, and that absolutely scared me away from buying a 6-liter Powerstroke back in 2005 when I purchased this Duramax truck. And of course, that's before, you know, YouTube and Mr. Hewitt's information was out there to help Powerstroke owners. If I would have, you know, had the same information at the same time, you know, I'd have bought the thing brand new from the dealer, taken it right down to Mr. Hewitt in Beaufort, Georgia, letting him turn loose on it and put the gorilla proof and stuff in there, and, you know, knowing that I'd, you know, have a truck that would, you know, the rest of the vehicle would fall apart around that powertrain, because, you know, I've had the pleasure of working with a guy who has had his truck worked on by Mr. Hewitt down at Power Stroke Specialty. And I mean, you can't break the thing. I mean, you put a monster tuner in there and put it to the wood every single time you pull away from a red light with a 20,000-pound trailer on the back. Yeah, she'll come apart. You know, you want to race that guy in his Camaro on Friday nights, it'll come apart. But I mean, short of that, I mean, you drive the thing the way you're supposed to, it will last forever, as it has with my buddy's truck. I mean, but here's why I wanted to send this video to Mr. Hewitt. Okay, I love his videos. I have always been mechanically inclined. I have had a fond relationship with Ford in the past. Not so much once the 6-liter came on scene, but you guys know what I'm talking about. But this is what I specifically wanted to talk about. I saw the challenge for this product called Archoil. Okay, now I use Power Service in this truck every single time I fuel up. And he had a video on there about premium diesel fuel. Okay, American diesel just, I mean, it sucks, to just put it bluntly. Okay, you got 3 different choices when you go to the pump here in Iowa for gas. You got regular unleaded, the good old-fashioned stuff. You got the unleaded super with ethanol, which you don't want to put in your older trucks or cars or anything with a carburetor. And then you, of course, got your premium. Some of that has ethanol, some of it doesn't, an E15, E85. But you got one choice for diesel, sometimes 2. I go to the truck stop because I get straight number 2. I want no biodiesel. The truck wasn't designed for it. I refuse to run it because the state of Iowa and the fuel companies will not buy me a set of injectors or an injector pump or any of that work when something turns sideways. So I try my best to go out of my way to find non-biodiesel. Say what you will about it. I mean, I'm all for cleaner air, cleaner water, whatever, but my truck wasn't designed to run it, so I'm not going to run it. So, Archoil. You know, with what it does, I mean, you guys can watch the video for yourself. Mr. Hewitt offers a try it before you buy it. Just pay shipping. It's like $4 to ship a little 3-ounce bottle. You know, it's about yay big. I threw it away, I apologize. But it talks about, you know, it's some reading material. I got a little excited when I got it. You know, I tore open the letter, you know, and tore up the side. But it talks about, you know, nanotechnology, you know, nanoborite, you know, friction modifiers. And the sample that he sent me is the fuel additive only. Here's why I was so interested in that in particular. Again, I am very familiar with this truck, and I noticed that, especially once she heated up, that I could feel it wasn't idling just the way she used to, okay? And, I mean, you know how it is. I mean, when you've had a product for, you know, a car, a truck, SUV for as long, you know, as I have in this particular one, I'm the first owner. I've owned it since it was brand new in 05. Here we are in 2016. I mean, I've had it for 11 years. It's just not running right. But I was also getting a slight fuel haze out of the tailpipe. Okay, I could smell the diesel, which is telling me injectors, or a injector. So, on my truck, I got a monitor. You know, I don't have it programmed, just because I don't have the funds to tear stuff up. I mean, if you got a 600 horsepower tuner on your truck, more power to you. You know, it's your truck, you do what you want. I can't afford it if somebody tears it, if I get it tore up, so I just don't have that. But I love this product from Edge because on the Duramaxes and the Fords and the Cummins products, they're coming, but I can actually see my injector balance rates on this truck. I'll wait for it to do its thing. I have, let's see if it'll focus. Come on. 89,460 miles on it as she sits. Again, I've owned it since it was brand new. I don't tow, I don't hot rod. But I like this gauge because it got all your electronic gauges. It's push button. It's very easy to use. It's very easy to customize. But on the Duramax product, I can see my injector balance rates. You know, Fords and Ram guys are gonna have to wait a little longer on it, but it is coming, according to the guy from Edge. But I go into diagnostics here. Prior to using Archoil, number 6 and number 8, which are the rear 2 cylinders on a GM, because driver's bank, it's even. Passenger side is odd, so you got 2, 4, 6, 8, and 1, 3, 5, and 7. Number 6 and 8, 6 was at about plus 4.7, which is just outside spec, and number 8 was running at like plus 6.8. I mean, it was bad. I mean, and for those of you guys who don't, and gals who don't know, anything over a plus or minus 4 is out of spec. And then most of the time the dealers recommend replacing that injector, or at least taking it apart and cleaning it, servicing it, whatever. I got that bottle of Archoil from Mr. Hewitt about a week ago. It's about, you know, it's about the size of an eyedropper bottle. You know, it's you know, yay big. And it says that bottle will treat 60 gallons of diesel. Well, this truck holds about 30 gallons, so about half the bottle, or like, let's, you know, 1.5 ounces, because the stuff's super concentrated. I'm thinking, okay, yeah, whatever, I've heard it all. But if Mr. Hewitt's putting his name on it, I'm at least going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I put it in. I usually run either Stenadine mixed with Power Service every time I fuel up. I did not add that product. I just did the Archoil because I wanted an untainted sample. And then I drove to the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul. From Des Moines, it's about 230-something miles. I drove there, I drove back, and I did not refuel in between because I wanted to get an unbiased sample. And I mean, when I got back to Des Moines, I mean, I was on fumes. I mean, I literally was rolling into the driveway, fuel light was on, and I could have swore I was going to have to stop, but I didn't want to contaminate the sample. So I got in, I refueled, put the remainder in. I now have burned just a little over 1/8 of a tank out. This is on my second tank with no other additives but Archoil. And I had the 2 bad injectors, or at least the balance rates were telling me it was bad. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up my balance rates here. I love that, waking the hamster to run on the wheel. Look at these balance rates. That is freaking outstanding. That's like virgin, brand new, out of the box, first fire up quality injectors. I mean, they fluctuate a little, you know. Look at number 8. Number 8, negative 0.5. Number 6, negative 0.1, or 1.1, 1.2. That has dropped from plus 4.8 and plus 6 point whatever down to that. I mean, that is, I'm dumbfounded. I'm speechless. The truck doesn't smoke. The truck doesn't hesitate. I have noticed throttle response is completely different. And again, I've owned this truck since it was new. I know how she drives, and I'm not making this stuff up. I'm not being paid by anybody from Archoil or by Mr. Hewitt or anybody that's affiliated with them to do this testimony. And this ain't even a friggin' Power Stroke. This is a GM product. Look at that. That alone, right there, ladies and gentlemen, bar none, hands down, no BS, is my injector balance rates. Like they're freaking new again out of the box. I cannot believe it. After, I mean, a bottle of Power Service, and I don't have nothing against Power Service, but a bottle of Power Service is $9. For the smaller bottle, you can get your local Walmart. You know, about $15 for the stuff that treats 250 gallons. You know, the Archoil is more expensive, but it's much more concentrated. So your value per ounce is much better. You know, I am a believer. Mr. Hewitt, hats off to you for bringing this product to my knowledge. I had no idea what it was. Again, I am not being paid in any way, shape, manner, or form by him or Archoil or anybody. I'm just a regular guy with a truck who I want to last, because these things are friggin' expensive. I mean, to replace this truck, brand new at my local GMC dealership, is probably $60,000. I mean, probably the same for an F350. Excuse me. You want these things to last as long as possible. On top of your regular maintenance, on top of not driving it like you stole it, on top of trying your absolute best to keep your foot out of the fun pedal, keeping the tuners off of it, or at least keeping it in the dull roar side, will make these things last a long time. Ford, Chevrolet, GMC, Ram, they make good products. I am a 100% believer after this point, Mr. Hewitt, on Archoil. It's not snake oil. It's not. I have noticed a night and day difference in the throttle response on my truck. There's not so much of that tired, you know, lag off idle anymore. There's no smoke coming out of the tailpipe. I've shut the engine off, so it doesn't, you know, I'm just going to walk back there. But it's beyond words. I couldn't believe it. And, you know, we're so used to hearing, you know, if it sounds too good to be true, then it probably is. Well, in this case, it's not. I mean, it's not free. I mean, it does cost a little bit of money. But I am going to make room in my budget for this stuff because it's super concentrated. You can add, I don't do a ton of commuting, but I was looking an injector in the face, okay? An injector retail on one of these trucks, probably similar on the newer Ford products. I mean, you're looking at, you know, $300 plus, $300 to $350, sometimes more for a stock injector. And usually when a dealership does one injector, they want to do all 8. Same on the Power Strokes, and they try to sell you the song and dance. Well, you know, we're in the labor this deep. We don't want to repeat the labor. It's, you know, it's used the same fuel. Bullshit. That's like going to the dentist and they say, well, you got a cavity in one tooth, so let's pull them all out. Yeah, I didn't think so. That being said, I mean, I got the other things on here, you know, the FS2500 and a couple other things, you know, because I want this truck to last. But I know that from this point forward, that Archoil will definitely be part of this truck's diet. On top of regular maintenance and clean diesel fuel and all this and that and the other. Mr. Hewitt, I salute you, sir, for your Archoil endorsement. I thank you so much for sending me that free product. It really does work, guys. If it works in my Duramax, it will absolutely work in your Power Stroke. I don't have to worry about stiction. But, you know, I'll give that friction modifier for the oil a try, too, on top of the AMS oil that this thing gets every 6,000 miles or so. I can't wait to give that a try just to see what kind of results I get from that. Even though, again, I don't have to worry about the stiction issues because the 6 liters and the 7.3s use high-pressure oil, whereas the Duramaxes and the newer Fords and Rams don't. You still got to worry about carbon getting into your injectors or gunk. I mean, when you're talking, you know, the thinness of a human hair is the size of the orifice hole in the tip of an injector. You know, a piece of dust getting in there could make the difference in the world. But whatever that Archoil did to that injector, I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a diesel certified mechanic or whatnot, but I can tell you this. I know what it was, I know what it is, and I know that now I am a true believer. Thank you so much for watching this video. Have yourself a blessed day.